Hey guys, what's up? It's Anthony, and I'm here to do yet another movie review. This movie review was requested by my friend Chris, and I actually just watched this again for the first time in a couple of years last night. And it's one of those movies that was directed by famed director Robert Rodriguez. Now, a lot of people know about Robert Rodriguez and his movies. I've always known him for his kids' movies. And he didn't make a ton of them. I mean, he made Spy Kids. He made Sharkboy and Lava Girl, of course. There was one other film he did. And that was 2009's movie. 2009. Yeah, it came out 2009. It's called Shorts. Uh, Now, I remember when this movie came out. And for weirdly enough, I don't remember it being promoted that much. I remember seeing a couple of ads on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, but I just never really, I mean, it looked kind of like a cool movie, but I didn't, go see it or anything. I didn't see it for the longest time until a couple of years ago. I found a copy, as you can see, this is a rental copy. I found it and I was like, you know what? Might as well check this movie out. And you know what? I really, really like this. It's definitely different, and it's it's definitely feels like a Robert Rodriguez kid movie. Basically, the plot of the movie is there's a kid. It takes place in the suburbs. Uh, Hold on. It takes place in the suburbs, and uh, there's this kid named Toby Thompson who is just your normal average kid who has parents who focus more on their phone because they're working for this company that specializes in this high tech. They want to make this. It's almost like sort of like futuristic in a way because it was like came out in 2009 when smartphones were sort of starting to become a thing. So it was like going. It's almost like ahead of its time in some way, because a lot of the stuff that they talk about, with you phone could do this and that, and it could kind of we could do that pretty much now, 15 years later. Anyway, he's a normal kid and doesn't really have like too many friends. Like he has one friend named Loogie, that's him right there, who actually becomes later friends with, and he gets bullied a lot by this girl and her brother Helvetica, and the father of Helvetica actually works for the company that Toby's parents work for. So, you know, it's kind of a weird life for him. So one day he gets bullied and he finds this magical wishing rock, and he can wish for whatever he wants. However, and it's like unlimited. It's not like a genie where it's like, oh, you get 3 wishes. No, unlimited. So it kind of begs the question: if you had a wishing rock, what would you wish for? I wish for a lot of things, but there are. It's kind of like genie s kind of like logic, where kind of like you wish for it, but it's not exactly the way you want to wish for it. Because sometimes the wishes go. Actually, a lot of the times the wishes go haywire. So he has this power of this rock, and the whole. I forgot to mention this whole movie It's kind of interesting. It's sort of like Memento, due to the fact that it's all being told out of order. So, like in the beginning, there's this like complete side story about this brother and this sister who are called the Blinkers, who it's kind of weird. It's like these like they try not to blink, and they have like this staring contest, throughout the whole thing, and it's kind of a recurring joke throughout the movie. But there's like a short at the beginning that sort of starts off the film. So if you watch the movie and you think you got a different movie, no, it ties into the movie. Trust me. Anyway, so then Toby starts using this rock for making his life, easier against bullies and stuff. And then the rock sort of gets passed on. And then you later find out that Toby's friend was actually the first one to find a rock from a magical rainbow. It's very Rodriguez-like. Uh, it's like got the sort of the similar music, and it's got a lot of the same humor. I mean, there are some pretty stupid jokes. Like there's a joke where, but it's kind of funny because it's like, oh, what's his name again? Oh, Loogie. Yeah, right. He's like, oh, I want telephonesis, and he has like a phone coming out of his head. Kind of weird, kind of like really childish humor, but I like it. Um, it's stuff like that, and there's another part later in the movie where one of the guys is trying to get the rock. He's like, I wish to be, and Helveka's like, an Oscar Mayer wiener. He turns into a wiener. So, it's got some humor that the adults will find and will chuckle at, and it's got a lot of kid humor, as usual for one of Robert Rodriguez's kids films. I actually like this a lot better than Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but I still have a soft spot for Spy Kids. Anyway, so this whole movie just kind of like, it's told out of order, but it does, add up all together by the end. There's a lot of people in this film. John Cryer, William H. Macy, James Spader with a toupee, which I found really amusing. Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, again, it's definitely a very, very underrated movie, and it's absolutely the black sheep of the Robert Rodriguez kids movies for sure. And I kind of wish they did a sequel to this movie. I kind of wonder what they would have done had they done a sequel. Because, it's definitely similar to Robert Rodriguez's other films, or kid films, but it's not like it's kind of weird, because I remember when the adverts came out, like it was like from the director of Spy Kids, and I was like, oh, yeah, but it was like from the director. It wasn't like Spy Kids. I just saw Spy Kids, and there's really no connection whatsoever with Spy Kids. I thought that would have been interesting, but to have a little cameo. That's another thing. I kind of wish, like, I know, like, Robert Rodriguez later did Machete later on, that sort of ties with Spy Kids, but that's completely different. I also forgot to mention there's another kid named Nose who has a really, really paranoid germaphobe father, keeps him in this house, who used to be friends with Toby, and he later like makes a booger or a monster out of a booger. You'll see if you ever watch the movie. This copy of the movie is a rental, and I don't know what it is about my copy, but it's really not the best quality copy. I guess when they pressed it onto rental, it was like, oh, kids are going to complain about the quality, but it's really not a great looking copy. I mean, it plays fine, but just saying the quality isn't great, so I'll probably have to get another, probably have to get it on Blu-ray. You can get this movie on DVD and Blu-ray. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie for sure. You definitely need to check out Shorts, because it's one of those movies that it sort of almost feels like an early 2000s kid movie in some way. Like, I know it obviously came out in the 2000s, like 2009, but definitely has sort of like if you took out the phone aspect and some of the digital like aspects of it or whatever, like I could definitely see this movie having come out 10 years earlier, like in 99 instead of '09. But I do like this sort of like era of kids movies. You really don't get that much anymore. It's really sad. And I kind of wish Robert Rodriguez would like do something similar to this. Like, I know people always ask him for more Spy Kids films, and I haven't seen the recent one, but I've seen the fourth, all of them up till the fourth one, and they're all good. But I think Robert Rodriguez should definitely experiment more and do another kids film similar to this, or maybe even do a sequel with Shorts too. Never know. And I guess in some ways, I was saying earlier, you could probably call this an anthology film in some way. It's kind of a weird one though. Like, I don't know if I would call it completely anthology because it takes place like it's being told through narrative, and it's like through the stories like part 3, part 1, part 2, or no, part 2, part 1, part 4, and then 3. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I highly recommend Shorts. You definitely need to check out this movie out. Like I said, you could probably get it on Blu-ray and DVD, and if there's some streaming services that have it, watch it. It's definitely a fantastic film. Very underrated film, for sure. So yeah, that's my review of Shorts. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video whenever that comes out. So, see you then.